Here today to discuss this are three legal experts, criminal lawyers Rachel Lichtman and Trevin David, and lawyer and academic Omar Haradai. Thank you all so much for joining me today. Now let's start with initial reactions. Rachel, I'll start with you. Your reaction to the TDSB's decision not to promote this book club event.
Thank you, Christine. So honestly, I was disgusted, appalled, and very angered when I heard this. And the reason for that is because we're hearing from a board that's in charge of educating our youth and the next generation that they really have no education on what a democratic society is and how important the role of the criminal defense lawyer is in upholding and maintaining a democratic society. I think what they very clearly missed here is that it's defense lawyers that are protecting all Canadians' rights to make sure we all have those rights. Without that very zealous advocacy, you're going to find yourself in a system that's a dictatorship and has complete police power. And tomorrow, when your neighbor isn't getting along with you and they call the police and make an allegation against you, you're going to be thrown in jail. The key is going to be thrown away, and there's not going to be anyone to stand up for you. So to see how they very clearly missed that is so upsetting. And the funniest thing is her book has nothing to do with her war stories or Jian Ghomeshi. Her book is an extremely inspirational story about an immigrant woman, about a woman who felt like she didn't fit what society wanted her to be, but she stepped into herself and in doing that found her success. So their decision really gets to the root of what upsets me, gets to the root of who I am. I'm a defense lawyer that believes in the system, and I'm a woman that a lot of times feels the same way as how Marie picked, as written in her book, doesn't fit the role of exactly what society wants me to be. So it's extremely upsetting to me.
Very well put, Rachel. Trevin, your initial reaction as well.
Firstly, thanks so much, Christine, for having me. I think I agree exactly with what Rachel said. I think we can recognize that the Toronto District School Board doesn't have to support a particular book for any reason, but it's really the why that is so difficult to understand here. Because as Rachel said, this isn't just about Ms. Henin and representing the Ghomeshi case, or her work in representing Mr. Ghomeshi. It's about that lived experience of her as that young immigrant woman breaking into a profession that was primarily made up of white men. And I think that is actually a particularly interesting underdog story that many people, especially young women in the Toronto District School Board, would love to listen to. And I think instead that critique that you heard, that because she represented someone that someone doesn't like or believes to be unpopular, that anything she had to say, any of her opinions or any of that experience that she had, which I think a lot of people can identify with, does not matter anymore. I think really sort of was the worst part for me to understand and the worst part for me to accept with the Toronto District School Board's decision.
Omar, we've got about 30 seconds. Your quick take on reaction to this.
I think it's illustrative of a broader phenomenon where we're seeing that increasingly, the difficult questions, perhaps the questions that need to be asked the most within our educational system, are being shut down. This particular issue hit close to home because in the legal industry, we know how important the criminal defense lawyers are to all of our freedoms and all of our liberties. And so I think that is really the concern here for me in terms of what we're doing in education.